for the ultimate source of inspiration, knowledge, and entertainment, look no further. Network Kingdom is a unique platform that brings together experts from various industries. Through networking and collaboration, we create inspiring conversations that educate, entertain, and motivate our listeners. Whether you're a business professional, an entrepreneur, or simply someone looking to grow their knowledge base.
Hello, beautiful people. I'm back again with another episode of the Thrive with podcast. And guess what? I have not just one, two amazing women, Alex and Bella. Aside from everything that they do, they have a podcast that is very interesting. It's called Let's Not Sugarcoat It. So if your guess is as good as mine, with a podcast like that, we're definitely going to be as real as they come on this episode. It's so nice to have you, Alex and Bella.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to be here. All across the world. Yeah.
We're in
I
Canada.
know. And it's nighttime here. I know that it's daytime there.
Yes. Yeah, it's morning still.
Yeah, it's still morning, so.
Awesome. So who
coffee?
goes first? Oh yeah, coffee. I have my tea too. I'm a recovering coffee addict.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I do decaf, so I don't have that
Not
problem.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, this one has that.
Still that addiction, yeah.
Yeah. So
And it was a podcast guest talked me out of it, talked me into going off coffee.
Mhm. Yeah, good advice. That's what I said.
I know. I've been off coffee for 3 months and I actually feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
who goes first? Alex or Bella?
Oh, I mean, either. Whatever you want to hear first. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, we have a podcast like you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Called Let's
So
Sugarcoat It.
okay, so Alex, tell us all about Alex.
About me. Okay. Well, Bella and I have this podcast called Let's Not Sugarcoat It. It's a podcast about real, raw, unfiltered conversations around motherhood, what it's like to be a woman, the changes we go through as we navigate life, through relationships, motherhood, careers, all that. I guess about myself, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a marketing business, so I do a lot of marketing strategy, behind the scenes, like SEO, search engine optimization work. And I have 2 kids, a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. Yeah.
Awesome.
Bella, and again, the podcast. I am married. We just celebrated our 15th wedding anniversary on the 18th, and 17 years together. And it has not been, all sunshine and roses as any marriages. And I have twin girls. They're going to be 11 in December. 11 going on 17, like
they all.
attitude. And I currently have a skincare line, as well as husband and I are starting online courses for communication and leadership. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's exciting times. I've always been an entrepreneur. I started my first company at 19, and then continues to build and sell businesses as I grew up. We lived in Taiwan for a little bit, where I started the skincare line, and then we got back to Canada, and right now we're in Kelowna. So living, a life, the life right
The
now,
life.
the life,
Life.
the life. Yeah, just had some, struggles a little bit. My father passed away early this year, so we were navigating
Sorry
the
about
trauma that happens with loss as well. So, we're starting to sort of kind of feel like, we're getting our bearings and living into a new reality, because my mom my parents moved in with us for retirement,
Oh,
and then
wow.
6 months in, my dad passed away. So my mom is now alone. She's living with us. She has all her friends in a different city. So trying to kind of fit the pieces in, and how, the new reality is going to look like. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, thank you.
So what were you guys thinking? How did you come up with let's not sugarcoat it? I
All
can
ideas.
understand the
Yeah.
theme, understand the theme and the thought behind it, but the name, I mean, even the name is not sugarcoating it. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were just having, originally there was 3 of us, and we were kind of having some wine on Bella's back patio, talking about parenting. And we realized that we were having some of the same struggles and things coming up. And we thought, oh, if we all feel this way, there must be other people who feel this way. And so we just started talking more about parenting and thinking about how it would be nice to have a community to bring each other up, right? Rather than that competitive feeling in motherhood, or a lot of that Instagram picture perfect life that was out there.
Tell me about.
Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's take off the filters and talk about the real struggles, but also wins that are happening.
Yeah, because it's hard to be vulnerable nowadays,
Yes.
because we're not taught that there's a safe space for us when we are vulnerable. For the most part, don't cry. Put your big
big girl pants on.
Put your panties, whatever, grandma panties.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the social media, everybody seemed to have it all perfect, and you look, right? Those families, those women that run all these businesses, their kids are perfect, their husband's perfect, their life is all filtered and beautiful. And I'm like, shit, how are they doing it? Like, how are these people doing it? Because I don't got it all together, right? So
I know.
We started
that challenges me sometimes, because you're looking at everyone and then suddenly you feel like you're the only one who doesn't have it together.
Yeah. But
it turns out no one has their stuff together.
Absolutely. I say to my 24-year-old, I say to him, I say, listen, fortunately, unfortunately, you're born in an era when everyone has 2 lives, the real life and the social media life.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's what it is. I said, people take pictures and they choose the most beautiful one to put on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People choose the perfect backgrounds to post on social media. So it's the best. Everyone puts their best foot forward. So you never really know what's going on behind.
Yeah. Right. And so what we do on the podcast is we interview successful entrepreneurial women who share their stories, and through sharing of those stories makes them a little bit more human and approachable, I guess, and relatable. Because some of the stories that we hear of survival, domestic abuse, houses burning down, divorce, all this, loss, you would have never seen that.
Right.
Exactly.
Unless you created a platform where people feel safe in sharing their stories and their struggles. And showing, people who may look from the outside in, is this achievable for me? Because I don't have my stuff together.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? None of us have it together. Yeah. We're all working, but it's, your mental state, your self-development work, and the community that rallies around you. It's once you find your people, great things happen. And when women support women, I mean, the world will take it over. I'm telling you, we're taking it over.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've had cause to interview quite a number of women as well, and even men who seem successful. I mean, not seem, they are successful. I mean, people that we just associate with success, power. And then when you hear their stories and how they got to the point where they are now, you would be shocked how many disappointments, failures, trauma, and all they've been through. But all we see is, what we see on social media. And there was a book I was reading once many years ago, and it said, the grass on the other side always looks greener, but remember that it needs maintenance. So while you're admiring that grass, whoever owns the grass is putting in some work. So, so that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah, a lot of people, they only see the end result. They don't see the journey because they're not part of that world, of that, step by step and pivots in, that person's life where they had to make hard choices and, had to maybe give up something or someone to move them ahead and get to where they are. But we're always learning. That's the thing, is like success is only measured, I guess, by your own values and what success really means to you.
Yes.
What I may see as success might not seem successful to you.
Absolutely.
So it's based on our core values.
Everyone has their definition of success. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's through those journeys, I think we do get a lot of value and start looking inwards more. And then start living a life by our own design versus trying to catch somebody else's or be like somebody else. Is looking inside and saying, okay, who am I and who do I want to be?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. And that's part of the work that I do with people, and I found out in my journey that when you don't know what your core values are, there's a tendency to attract anything and everyone.
Right.
And even when you know what your core values are and you're not living those core values, or you're not aligning with those core values in the different things you do, you really would never really be happy in the true sense of the word. It's almost like you're struggling to be what you're not. And that's actually a missing piece. So speaking about podcasts, I have a podcast. I started podcasting in 2021. And to be quite honest, when I saw those podcasts, I thought the only difficult thing was doing the back end, the editing and all that, because I wanted to do it myself. And so I went on. And somewhere along the line, one comment someone passed, I delayed. And from delaying, I went off it for almost a year. And I had to come back. And that's when it dawned on me that really nothing is that easy, because when we listen to this podcast, we think that it's just someone sitting behind her desk in front of her computer and just having a conversation. So I for one, know that it's a lot of work to go from sourcing the right people that will, be right, a good fit for your podcast, to editing, to putting it out there, to marketing it, and making sure the quality is good and all that. How are you able to do that with a podcast like yours and still manage your business and run your home?
Well, we kind of have a guy who does a lot of that for us for the podcast. Ryan, he puts it on. We just go and we record it with him and our guests, and then he puts it on the platform. We don't do too much editing just because, like the name, we just want to have the real raw conversation. We'll edit it a bit if a guest asks to take something out. But other than that, he kind of does the audio and stuff and then puts it out there for us.
Yeah, so he has a studio. So we actually go physically in studio with him, and
So what I hear is delegating or outsourcing. And that's something that a lot of us women don't know how to do.
Totally.
Yeah, we had to take a look at our schedule and time-wise and timing, what we could fit in. This is a passion project, and it's grown quite a bit here in Kelowna and in Canada, and we're trying to, kind of reach out to different parts of the world as well. But yeah, it was looking for the right people so that our time is spent on the things that you know we're good at.
Yeah.
And then we're hiring out the parts that would take us a very long time to figure out, and we just don't have that time to spend there. So yeah.
Learning the new skill and all that, like
Yeah.
editing and all that. So it's nice that we have him.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the themes that does come up with a lot of the women we talk to. Like, I'm even thinking of a guest we had last week who talking about, delegating the things out that you don't have the capacity to, so that we're not trying to manage, 20 all at once.
And it does it propels your business or whatever venture you're doing much faster, because now that piece is done by somebody else, and it's done the right way because they're
faster.
Faster. Yeah. So if you're wanting to grow your business or your podcast, I would, encourage, unless funding, but there's ways of, raising funds. So funds are, there's ways of making money. But yes, always finding the right person.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way.
I mean, we've had enough experience with businesses, running companies that, at one point we did have to learn those hard lessons and then, choose our battles wisely where we want to spend our energy and our focus.
Yeah.
So Alex, tell me a little bit about your marketing.
Yeah, okay. I mean, a long time ago, I went to school for marketing, and I have a passion for marketing. I do a lot of, I guess I started out doing a lot of sales and then moved into a lot of writing because I like writing. So I did a lot of helping people develop their strategies for the writing on their website, their content for their website. So whether someone wants to do blog posts, email marketing, I really like helping people set up email funnels and how to attract clients that way. And then I kind of moved into, just naturally, it moved into helping people set up, I like my passion now and what I kind of do in marketing is to set up content strategies for people and then do a lot of the research. Because now with content, a lot of it's not so much like blogging back in the day where we used to write about things we're really passionate about. You have to write about what you're passionate about, but you have to hit the right keywords to attract the right people to your website and get your website to show up online. So I help people develop their strategy for how to do that and then how to continue to create content that will help them rank for, Google and other search engines and so on. Yeah.
So do you do it for just anyone, or do you have like a niche, a sort of business that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of work for health, like in healthcare and like health tech, med tech. I kind of over time, I just developed a few really strong relationships through a few digital marketing agencies. So a lot of those agencies will have different freelancers who do different areas of their business for them. So I do have, I'd say like two of my biggest clients right now are digital marketing agencies, and I do a lot of work for their clients within my area of expertise. And it's often in health tech, to be honest, and sometimes software as well. Yeah.
Nice. And Bella, I can't wait to see the online platform. Do you want to tell me a little bit about it?
So this kind of been a passion project in the work for the last 5-8 years, I would say, but timing was never right. We moved quite a bit. We moved overseas. We had the babies, and just life. We were never in sync. The institute is going to be called the Picco Institute for Communication and Leadership Development. So we're going to focus on communication within the home and the core values and, within the relationship. and then how that translates into the corporate and work environment. Because what happens is, if your home life isn't in a good state, you do carry that out. There's very few people who can separate, separate their emotional
absolutely
upheaval, I would say, and not bring it to work. And so your communication that day or that week is going to be different than if everything is, roses and peaches. I don't know. I'm just coming up with these like.
And a lot of us pick up our values from home. That's the first place we pick it up from, until we become aware of its effect and decide whether it's a value we want to hold on to or not. Some people never get on that journey where they even realize they've picked up a value that is not serving them.
That's right.
It's at home we pick it, and if we're able to make the home stable and like conducive, it will definitely translate.
Yeah, because it's through the breakdowns we have our breakthroughs, and how we come out on the other side is by looking inward and figuring out those core values and doing the inner child work and peeling back the layers from our traumas, from our past, and moving forward and learning communication styles of your partner as well. Just because we say it a certain way doesn't mean they're receiving it that way.
Absolutely.
So learning communication styles is very key in any type of relationship. How you communicate with I have twin girls, identical twin girls. How I communicate, they're completely different people, which drives me insane because
and they're identical.
Identical, but their personalities are completely different. One is very much, a people pleaser, structured. She's like my husband. And then the other one is my unicorn. She's a free bird. So techniques of how I communicate with them don't always work. The strategies I need to implement for, one situation is quite challenging, because if I'm disciplining one this way and one that way, one of them will say, well, that's not fair, mommy. Well, life's not fair, child, because you do not respond well to this type of, communication versus to this. So it is a challenge, and both myself and my husband are only children. So we have no idea what we're doing. Regardless, we had no siblings. We have no point of reference to, the fighting and how siblings interact. And my mom, she lives with us, but she's just as useless as we are in this department because we didn't have a child. Right? So we're all in it together.
I'm sure she's just as confused as you are.
Yeah. Right? So we're all in it together, and we're all trying to figure out the our communication styles, and having a parent move in with you as well changes the dynamics in the family, right? So how husband and wife communicate, and then you have an in-law or your mom. Also, the communication is different because she's still my mom. I'm still the child,
right? Yeah.
She's in my home now, so it's a little bit different than me being in her home. Yes. But she's now the grandma, so she's here to spoil the children and undo everything that I've done, Right? So it's just navigating, this wave of, not uncertainty, but this wave of
complexity.
Complex personalities under one roof. So I'm just glad the house is big enough. We don't actually need to see each other.
Yeah, you can go to your
just go to your wing, close the door, don't come out till tomorrow.
So we're all laughing and looking merry, and I'm looking at you two wonderful ladies, and I'm saying to myself, oh my goodness, I wish I had it all together like this.
Well, we don't have it together.
When I remember our conversation, you don't look like you've been through anything. And by the way, I always say that we never really look like what we've been through.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
So, I mean, how has it been for you from when you started till now? What are the major challenges you think you faced?
Well, for me, I come from communist Poland, so we were refugees. I left when communism was about to fall down. They weren't letting people out of the country. We weren't allowed passports unless you went and applied for to the government, and they could deny you, right? Like you didn't have that freedom. Food stamps, all that kind of stuff, and we refugeed into Austria. We lived in a hotel room for a year, and then we moved to another farmhouse. My dad had to stand with a sign out on the street saying looking for work, and then we were trying to immigrate to the States, but they weren't taking Polish people at that time, and Canada opened their doors. So we ended up coming to Canada, to one of the coldest provinces and cities, Edmonton, Alberta. And then we moved quite a bit from school to school, from place to place, because my parents were trying to find, their work and their way. I had to learn the languages. I grew up quite quickly because, I went to school in Austria, so I spoke German. I had to help my parents out. Same with Canada. I picked up the language quite quickly, so I was really entrenched in all the day-to-days. And because we were an immigrant family, we did the odd jobs. My mom worked in a hotel room as a cleaning lady. We had cleaning jobs, so I, at 10 years old, was cleaning offices with my parents. Then they opened a landscaping company, and I was mowing lawns and shoveling driveways because it was a family thing. We couldn't afford to hire people at that time. All the money, needed to come so we could support our life in Canada, in a foreign country where you didn't speak the language and all that kind of stuff. And I was bullied quite a bit because I have an accent. So I had my hair pulled, people spat at me, told me not to talk, right? So it all, but it made me who I am. The resilience, I think, too, not letting that dictate who I was going to be. But it did create some I'm strong, independent, strong woman. Don't tell me what to do, right? So it works until it doesn't work. The softness part, it took a while for me to become softer. And I was in a long-term relationship that wasn't very good. It was, verbally abusive, and then turned physical, and then left 3 months before the wedding. It was a whole story to unpack. And then I met my husband, and then everything is so happy. No, but it's not like that's the thing is, we struggle too.
We all do. No, but look, do you notice how I'm staring at you? I'm short of words. I mean, I'm staring at you. I can't believe you've been through all this.
Yeah, so it's like everybody has a story. Just because
virtual hug.
Yeah, I'll give my hug. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So but it's I think because I had such a strong family foundation, my parents did a good job of always teaching me family first and the grit, and working hard to getting what you want, always supported me. My dad, when I opened my first business, he bought me all the equipment because I was going to university for a marketing design degree. And then I started my first photography company, which then I built to, I ran that for almost 17 years. I had 10 photographers.
Bravo.
Yeah. So, and we traveled the world with it. So I sold real estate, and I had an interior design company because my dad worked also.
Wow.
So, it just evolved. But it was the hard work. It was
the resilience. Yeah. And there must have been a lot of consistency showing up.
Yes. Yeah, you had to. That's the thing is, nobody was going to do it for me. I had to do it for myself. And every time, you know, you chose, what do I want? Who do I want to be? What am I driving for? So striving for.
I hear stories like this, and it actually does challenge me, because there's several days that I feel like giving up, and then I hear stories like this and I'm like, you have no excuse.
Mm. Yeah. It's always just taking that one step forward. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Is as long as I'm taking, doesn't matter how small the stride is, as long as I'm moving forward, um, you're on the path to wherever you're going. Yeah. There was a quote I was gonna say, but now it vanishes. Sometimes it happens, but yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Alex has a pretty amazing story.
Yeah, I was just going to go to Alex. I was trying to take it all in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like Bella's saying, like we all just develop along the way this resiliency, right? And I've been doing like a lot of work recently on childhood stuff, and I think as a kid, I grew up in a. I think if people looking on the outside, they would say, you know, you grew up a pretty privileged life, and I did lead a pretty privileged life, but I don't think our home was necessarily, especially as a small child, a really stable, emotional, as a stable home. There was a lot of brokenness in my family, and that translated, I think, to me as a small child and my kids, and navigating that, or my siblings, I meant. And then my parents got divorced, so that was a difficult time for me as well. And then, you know, you just kind of navigate the world. And then I got quite sick, actually, 14 years ago today. It's a kind of an anniversary for me today, but I got quite sick with swine flu, and I was put in a medically induced coma. And then I spent 6 weeks in that, and I was on life support, and I almost died. And so that was a really eye-opening, I guess, situation for me in terms of like navigating life after that. But we end up carrying, like the whole thing lasted about 2 years. I had a couple surgeries and so on, but we carry sometimes these traumas with us, right? And so I think it took, again, COVID to start for me to be like, wow, I'm really holding on to a lot of this past trauma from this medical experience, even though you emotionally think you've moved on to it. So
Yeah.
I was carrying a lot of that around with me, and now I'm going through a divorce myself, so that's difficult, and so there's navigating that, and so there's always challenges and struggles that we all go through. And I think, like Bella's saying, it's just we just keep going, and then eventually it just weaves its way into our greater purpose, right? Our greater story.
You know, Bella said something, and you know how you know something and you say it all the time, but when you hear someone else say it, it sounds different or it sounds new to you. And you know, Bella was saying just taking one step forward, one step, even if they're baby steps. You're not in the same position you were yesterday. You know, just one step forward. Just keep moving. I think that's very key.
Yeah. I always think of that Finding Nemo movie, you know, where she's like, just keep swimming, just keep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is that quote I wanted to say. I think it's like, if you your chances of succeeding are greater when you take that first step than not taking a step at all.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
Right. So that's where I'm constantly have at the forefront is, if I just take one step, I make one phone call, I make one change in any aspect of my life, I'm moving forward. And I am, like you said, not in the same position that I was, you know, yesterday, the day before, or yeah, and actually living in the present moment, focusing on what is
Yeah.
happening today versus living in the future or in the past.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're always chasing something that's, you know,
I had to learn that. I lived in the past a lot. I found out that for every situation, when I'm addressing myself, I'm referring to something that had happened. I had to work on it and keep reminding myself that, look, that's in the past. Now live in the present, be in the present. Yeah.
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 And I was thinking when Bella was speaking earlier too, that there was this great quote that my husband used to have on his phone. Well, I guess my ex-husband almost, but it was, you never know how strong you are until strong is the only choice you have. Right.
Absolutely.
And these moments, we're like, how is this person strong? How are they doing it? And it's in those moments we find our own strength, right? And our own resiliency to move forward.
Yeah.
No rain, no flowers.
Yeah.
I'm getting a tattoo on Wednesday that says that, because
What?
with- without the rain, there's nothing.
You
nothing
go,
moves.
girl.
Yeah,
So,
like
so
Go,
yeah,
girl.
yeah.
So before we call it a day or a night, what would be your parting words? I'm definitely getting you guys back, and I'm definitely, hey guys, I'm going to post a link to their podcast. You don't want to not listen to it.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us.
yeah. And you want parting words, you said.
Parting
Yeah.
words.
I mean, for me, I think it would be just like to keep going, to always take a step forward, and to just know that, I really like that saying, and you're always saying this, right? That life is happening for you, not to you, right? And these things happen.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
Yeah. It's not, you want to live your life by design, not by the reaction of the outside world. You don't want to be constantly reacting to the things that are coming at you, because they're not coming at you.
Right.
They're just happening. And that's just so. So when we take out all those stories that we create within our heads and attach them to a certain situation, is how your experience is going to be. So just think of what's happening. I'm having a cup of tea, and that's all is happening. Instead of, I'm not having a cup of tea, I might choke, it might be poison, it might be right. So just living life,
in the
with
present.
Yes, present, and just focusing on what is actually happening, not that voice that's telling you all these other stories that may hold us back. So
yeah. And like I say to people, it's your story to tell. Don't give the pen to anyone else. Write your story yourself.
that's right.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So guys, I'm sure you guys have had a blast with Alex and Bella. Make sure that you get on their podcast. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Network Kingdom with Omo Obulor. Remember, if you cannot see where you're going, ask someone who has been there before.